Welcome to the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, where we pop the champagne to celebrate the unexplored joys and endless adventures that await us in the midlife. Flipping the script on what it means to hit those fabulous 40s, 50s and beyond. Because here, we don't believe in midlife crises, only midlife revolutions. Reminding you that the only thing we're letting go of at midlife is the notion that it's all downhill from here. Nope, we're here to climb higher, dream bigger, and laugh louder. Each week, we'll dive into the myths, share the truths, and unlock the secrets to making the midlife years your best years yet. From rediscovering lost passions to embarking on new adventures, we're covering it all. Expect candid conversations with inspiring guests who've turned their midlife years into their most dynamic chapter yet. We're talking to everyone from entrepreneurs who've launched successful startups from their kitchen tables to adventurers who decided age is just a number when it comes to climbing mountains or sailing the seas. So if you've ever found yourself pondering, is this all there is? Or you're just eager to embrace the richness of midlife with both arms wide open, then you, my friend, are in the right place. Grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's show the world that life doesn't just begin at 20, it begins again at midlife. And remember, in the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, the only rule is to live confidently, love unconditionally, and laugh uncontrollably. Let's get started. So hello and welcome to today's episode of Life Begins at Midlife. In the studio today, we've got Deb King, and I'd like you to give her a very warm welcome. Yeah, Deb, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you, Jackie. So happy to be here with you and also hear your beautiful accent. And I know I probably sound like I have one for everyone, but I'm currently living.
Nice and special and unique when we're all different human beings, but we come together in a central space and we have the common interest of life at midlife. So it's great.
Absolutely. And there's so many common things we all experience no matter where we are in the world. And it's a beautiful thing to connect. So I'm in Sydney, Australia. I have been fortunate to spend quite a bit of time in the UK. Spent 6 years of my life living in London, which was an amazing time. I was a bit of a party animal. I worked in the music industry and nightclubs, and I really was I reflected and realized I was on a happiness inquiry, but I was seeking externally for finding happiness, which is not where you find it. I had fun, but not genuine happiness. And in 2003, I returned to Sydney to become a life coach and went on a huge personal development, spiritual development, entrepreneurial development, all the developments ever since then, the last 20 years. And I distinctly remember, because we're talking about midlife, I distinctly remember that there was the saying, life begins at 40. That feels like that was around my whole life. And then when I actually turned 40, I really remember thinking, oh, I sort of understand it. It was sort of like 40 years actually goes really fast. So we better start living, or I better start living to kind of get everything, all the things I want to be happening this lifetime. So I distinctly remember that. That's quite a while ago now. I'm now 51. But it continues to be a journey of learning to love myself more and really genuinely contribute in the way that I feel is why I'm meant to be here, which is as an uplifter. I love coaching, and my business partner and I love supporting others who coach. So the people who love to help people. Now, the word coach can have a very narrow definition, but we use a broad definition, like the traditional horse-drawn coach of, if you can imagine, that was something that took a very important person from where they are to where they want to be in greater comfort. So a coach can use many different types of modalities and all sorts of things to do that. And we have some really leading edge wisdom teachers that kind of really help people. And they typically are women that are 50 plus, because women who are 50 plus have so much wisdom, so many gifts and talents, so much experience, the formal and informal training that is unique and powerful, and the world needs it right now. So very passionate about supporting those with that kind of calling to help others.
It's amazing, and I agree with you. It's a very important time at the moment that we've been called to step up and to, you know, almost join arms across the world, all the women, and create a better environment for us all. And I'm trying to remember who that person was. That was it. I don't know. Someone put a quote out there. One of the big famous people. I don't think it was the Dalai Lama or who it was, but somebody about that the future of the world is going to be in the hands of the female leaders, that they're going to rise up and they're going to you know not take over is the wrong word, but really just step up and lead.
It was the Dalai Lama. He said the Western woman.
That's it.
Um, yes, because women, I guess there's a call for feminine leadership, a call for all those the best of our human qualities of connection and collaboration and support and care and listening and intuition and everything that kind of makes sense to all of us and at our core. I think there's been a lot of kind of conditioning for people to, because I went to a girls school as well. I have a sister, I have four nieces, I have a lot of women in my life. But I do remember high school being a little bit bitchy, really. Like women often can, at their worst, not be great for each other. But then in later years, I've been involved with so many very empowering women's wisdom circles and beautiful spaces that have been created to really support everyone's unique gifts and talents and love each other, as you say in your podcast here, to love unconditionally, like truly love each other, even when we don't necessarily agree, even we don't kind of necessarily even understand, we can still love each other, and that's what the
Absolutely.
world needs.
Sometimes it's agreeing to disagree, and understanding that everybody's got different opinions and they're coming from a different frame of reference. They've lived a different life, so they're going to look at it through a different lens. But does that mean that their lens is the wrong lens and your lens is the right lens? It's just a different way of looking at it. And if you open yourselves up to that, your life is a lot more richer because you can see things potentially from different perspectives as well. And you might maybe sometimes you might tweak and change your perspective on things and be more enlightened and open to being more inclusive about whatever the topic is.
You've touched on one of my favorite topics, which is being curious and seeking to understand all those different perspectives and really letting go of judgment, like really not seeing things. We label things good, bad, right, wrong, but it's all made up. And if if we can transcend judgment, my gosh, like the world is really going to be a far more beautiful place in my eyes. I feel it's something I really aim to strive for, is to let go of judgment. It's so natural that we have all these filters and judgments, and it does really cause more suffering than we need. So it is so cool, as you said, to get curious, seek those different perspectives, because that's how we grow and learn and can have so much fun and come to another thing that you say about laughing a lot, and I'm a big fan of that.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. It's those communities that I've found as well when later on in life, and I've also been, to a part of my schooling was spent in an all girls school, and it was a really, really difficult time because, like you say, you felt like you were watching your back the whole time, and no matter what you did, you never quite fitted in. And there was the in crowd, and then there was the all the different types of people. And I joined later on, sort of halfway through the schooling, so everybody had formed their friendship groups. So then to try and break into that was so difficult. So, but later on in life, I've found that women seem to be more open. I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I've been attracting and seeking out those more open and inclusive communities. So, maybe I'm thinking as rose tinted glasses that the whole world's like that now, but maybe.
Uh, I don't know. I feel that's a reflection of who you are, because everything's a reflection of our energy. So perhaps when we're younger and we are potentially more anxious or insecure, that's sort of being reflected at us. Whereas as we really genuinely start to not care what other people think, really love ourselves more and accept ourselves and back ourselves, we kind of get that reflected with other people really appreciating us and kind of supporting us in the way that we are giving ourselves that support. So I think it's a beautiful reflection for you, Jackie.
True. Yeah, I suppose it is because you don't have that intense need to fit in. You're comfortable in your own skin. So if you walk into a room of people and it doesn't feel right, you don't, you're not attached to feeling that you need to stay. You're quite happy just to leave the room and go somewhere else and enjoy your own company or find another group that you're happy with.
I think that is the beautiful wisdom that I have witnessed as I've gotten older, is really feeling that, not caring what other people think as much, and not being needing whatever it was we were needing.
Yeah, not needing that validation or that outward you know happiness almost. It's we've got that inner happiness and we don't need other people to fulfill that role for us. They're just the value adds, the add-ons, the extras that make things a bit nicer, but we don't need them from a core level.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice. And I think that I kind of like reflecting on this conversation with you, I was thinking about midlife is an interesting term in itself, because I'm like, oh yeah, I suppose I'm in midlife. I haven't really thought about it a lot in that term. But then I also think to people I know that are much older than me, or have been older in some way, they've been an influence in my life, and how that impacts now as well. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because if we go forward in time and think about ourselves as a 90 or 100-year-old us, that wise, beautiful 90-year-old, 100-year-old self, and what would she advise to us right now? Wow, we get some powerful wisdom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lady said to me the other day, it was in one of my community groups here, and she said that she reminded us all that what we're doing now, we're actually doing for our 90-year-old self. So the way we're eating, the way we're exercising, the way we're just showing up, we're not doing it just for the here and now. We're actually doing it for that amazing woman that's going to be 90 or 100. And I thought that was just so powerful as well, just feeling it, thinking, oh, puts things in a completely different perspective.
Yes, it's beautiful to get present and conscious to that, so that we can make those choices that are serving us in that way. I feel that, especially when I was younger, it was more, didn't really think about consequences. And not that it's about consequences now. I think for me, it's actually where possible to be more present, be as present as possible, and make those choices that are from my heart and my inner wisdom. And they're going to be the best choices for my future for sure. And it is a beautiful thing to connect with that future version of ourselves and have her guide us. It helps make decisions easier in some ways.
Absolutely. When it's tapping into your intuition as well, and then that inner self, and trusting those, because sometimes those little nudges and things that come to you don't always make perfect sense. But it's just following through and being curious and thinking, okay, great, yeah, but how's that going to work out? And then just taking that next step and seeing how it unfolds. Like with the podcast, when I started it out, I had no idea how it was going to evolve into what it was going to evolve into. But I thought, well, take one step at a time and let's see. And look where it is now.
It's very beautiful. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, where it's like really trusting that inner vision, inner wisdom, to take that step, the step that you know to take, and trusting without needing to know all the how. It's sort of like if you were to drive from London to Edinburgh, you could just start and follow the path, but you don't need to know every single turn that you're going to be making. You kind of just get on the journey, but you don't stay put where you are, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Absolutely. And while you're driving along the road as well, you might get to a crossroads and you could either go left or right. And you can then decide, based on, all the information and your intuition, am I going to go right and go the scenic route round, or am I going to jump on the motorway and I'm going to get there? You just have those choices along the way as well. You're not having to say, well, I'm on this path and I'm going to go this way no matter what.
That's a beautiful thing. We can always change our mind. We always have a choice in every moment to choose again, choose how we want to feel, choose what we want to focus on. Choice, the power of choice in our focus is absolutely so powerful. But yeah, it's really nice to think about that crossroads of how do you make that decision, and what you said about getting all the info you can, but also your intuition needs to be a big part, that you follow that, because that's always right, I have found.
Absolutely. And the times that you've just stuffed it aside and think, I'm not listening to you, I'm doing it my way anyway. It gently reminds you, and sometimes not so gently reminds you, to come back on track and say, right, we're actually doing it this way. And I think
That's
as you
right,
get
not so
older, you
gentle.
realize that it's easier just to tap into yourself, get that intuition, that wisdom, and go with that rather than going the detour route.
100%. Because the message will get louder and louder. It's not always subtle. But if we don't listen, it will get louder. So
Absolutely. And sometimes it's not as a gentle a nudge. Sometimes it's a right real boot up there.
yeah,
you know,
I've heard it described as it's like a whisper, and then it's like a pebble dropping on you, and then it's a brick, and then it's like boulder. It's like our brick.
absolutely. Yeah, the whole big, landslide right landing on you. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, will you now finally listen? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Sometimes it takes a big thing to, and I suppose sometimes, um, you don't have to choose to listen. You can still not do, like, you always have the power to ignore it. Just your quality of life is likely to be better and
Yes,
less suffering if you choose to listen. So
absolutely. Because I think you can choose the easy way. Well, the easier way maybe is a better way of putting it, or you can choose the uphill struggle. So,
yes, choices. But
absolutely.
congratulations on making the choice to do this podcast. I feel it's a great choice,
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure many people are grateful for you. So thank you, Jackie.
I've been enjoying all the conversations that I have been having so far, and look forward to more in the future as well. So it's been great. But I think it's allowing ourselves as we get older the permission to do what we feel we would like to be doing, and that things that bring us joy, and not focusing on the things that we should, or we think we should, or that society says we should be doing, and which could potentially be making us feel very unhappy. Whereas if we allow ourselves to the permission to do what we feel is right, it's
Permission.
somehow it works out.
I'm a big fan of that. We need to stop shooting on ourselves and not do anything as a should. I feel shoulds are like you either need to, you want to, or it's someone else's agenda, and you really don't want to do any more obligation. It just does not serve. So it's a practice, but it's like a muscle. The more you practice it, the better you get at it, and it becomes easy. And
Absolutely.
that um, uh, permission thing is so powerful on so many levels. Just even like that permission to be happy or to feel joy or to really live life to the full, and like you said, do what makes you feel good and brings you joy. Like, actually give yourself permission to do that first, because then you can really go and do it. If if we really connect with it, life is short. No matter, we don't know how long we have. Many of us by this age have probably had some losses that really make us aware of how precious life is and how it needs to be appreciated. And it is really worth doing the things you really want to do. especially because, when we check out, not long after, no one's going to be thinking about us much, really. So why would we care what they think now? Why would we care what anyone thinks now?
Well, that's it.
Because
When you
it doesn't
mentioned about,
matter.
when you were mentioning about losing, people that are close to us, unexpectedly, I was going to say, but the sad thing is, very quickly we get back into our normal rhythms and we forget about that gentle reminder about how life is so short. And that ties in with what you were saying. Once we gone, people aren't going to be. There might be one or two people that'll feel a bit different, but the majority of people, they'll think of you like maybe once every 10 years. Oh, remember so and so? Yeah, that was great. We had great fun. But in general, life goes on.
It really does. And it's so interesting to really connect with that, because I think sometimes many of us are letting what other people think get in the way of what we really want to do. One of course, as you said, we need to give ourselves permission, but also we really need to let go of other people's opinions, because just go for it. Just do whatever it is that you want to do. Why not? Like, there's no reason not to. And the only one holding us back is ourselves. And there's just so many ways to think about it to help move that along and not like let that happen anymore. It's time to live life to the full.
That's it. And it's not just a cliche or a saying or something. It's really something that if we really take to heart, we can really, put into practice. Imagine if we all get to that point where we're living life to full. Can you just imagine the energy and the vibe and the buzz and everything like that going on? It would be
So
amazing.
much magic. So much magic. And I think that's what we're meant to be doing. I think we've been conditioned into a society of not enoughness, not enough time, not enough sleep, not enough money, I'm not enough. And we kind of feel all this crap stuff about ourselves. We live in our heads, we're distracted, we're not present, we're kind of in the rat race. And actually, that's not how we're meant to be. We're meant
Mm.
to like totally, it's kind of almost opposite of that, really get in our heart and our body and nature, and do what our natural gifts and talents and strengths are guiding us to do, that what brings us joy. and um
Absolutely.
and and yes, if everyone did that a little bit more, woo,
Yeah.
yes, I'm a big fan of that idea.
And I get you can't necessarily go from, you know, being in that sort of box, in that container that you found yourself in, and all of a sudden be, free as a bird and doing whatever it is from one day to the next. And I know it's a process, but that's why, we've got people like you and myself that are out there to support people in that transition when they're going through these things, and they might be questioning themselves like, oh, it's a bit scary out there. I'm not with this unfamiliar. I'm not quite sure what to do. And if they have that support, they don't feel like they're navigating this journey on their own. They've got their own little sat nav, like telling guiding them along the road.
Oh, yes. We are not meant to do it alone. We are meant to collaborate. These times are calling for us to connect and get supported, and support others, and really um, co-create new and fresh ways to doing things. Like the ways things would have been done all this time, unless we consciously create new, we're going to keep creating what we know, but actually that's not really working really the way. There's so many people that aren't genuinely happy and living their life to the full. So what if we all play with ideas of how we all kind of take different steps and maybe dance moves, and
Yeah, well, that's
shake
it.
our booties into new possibilities.
Absolutely. And just shake off those shackles and just allow yourself to get in touch with it. Maybe it's that inner child that you need to reconnect with, and bring in some of that fun that you used to have when you were little and you were singing and dancing or coloring in or doing whatever. It might be your own version of that now when you're older, but it's finding that and not getting caught up in the, you know, dumbing ourselves down and sort of that's the word I'm looking for, sort of masking all the things. So, resorting to alcohol and, binge watching rubbish telly and things like that. It's actually allowing ourselves, you know, an opportunity to live and not be just having to survive, go to work, come home, switch the TV on, put the ready meal in the microwave, come back and, eat your food in front of the box and go back to bed and then repeat and repeat and repeat. I mean, there's so
I
much
have
more to life, I
never
think.
been able to do that myself. I've always had a bit of an unconventional career because ever from young, I did not want to get up, go to work, come home, get up, that routine. And it's funny, I do see the value in it. Like even my boyfriend has that kind of job and he loves it, and it's awesome because there's so much stability and
Mm.
great perks to it. But if you're not happy in that kind of job, it's time for change. If you're not happy in something, it's telling your body is telling you for a change. And like you said, Jackie, make sure you reach out for support because there's often things going on that you can't see. Even your gifts and talents, you're probably doing them quite a lot. You're really good at it and you're not even valuing it because it's so easy for you, but you're not even seeing it's a gift and talent. And sometimes you need other people to help you point all that out. So wherever you're at, it's a really good idea to reach out for support, and it makes it so much more fun.
Absolutely. When you're working with someone who's, who can see the bigger picture and point out these things. Because I've been there as well, where I think, oh, no one's going to want to pay me for that because it, it it just comes so naturally to me. It's just who I am. Why would someone not be able to do the same thing as I? Surely it comes naturally to everybody. But it doesn't. We're all got it, like you say. We've all got our own unique gifts that we can all bring to the table, and things that'll come easy to you might be an absolute nightmare for me to do. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're not good at everything. None of us are. And how great when we can all mainly do our strengths and come together and each other has those balancing strengths. It's so the way we're meant to operate. We're not meant to operate by ourselves. That
No,
whole idea of sort of there's a lot of conditioning around being independent and competition and all that kind of stuff, when actually our natural way, and what I believe is so important for the future, is learning how to know who we are and collaborate, because collaboration's a nice word. The actual doing of that requires everyone to have a sense of who they are and what they can bring and how they can contribute, and also be able to have very honest communication and be able to speak the truth and hear people's truth without taking it personally and without getting defensive. And so there's a really a kind of a level of maturity or wisdom or communication skills that we're quite like it's almost like it would be great for everyone to learn, so we can all start collaborating more and all kind of contribute in the way we're meant to be, but also receive. It's a giving and receive, so receive in the way we're meant to as well, and
that's
really celebrate all of it.
yeah. Because very often, as women, we're very good at giving. You know,
And
but
over giving, and over giving.
absolutely, and then you give some more, and then you've got this tiny bit more, and you give some more, and but when do we allow ourselves to receive? Because it's a constant ebb and flow. It's an in and out. It needs to be we need to be filling our own cups or our own buckets up as well, and not just so we have more to give from the overflow. But it's learning that, and that's something I've had to learn because I've been, an overgiver. I've got one milligram of something, and here we go. You can have it. You know what I mean? And it's looking after myself first, which has been a big thing as well, and not feeling bad for that. And realizing that if I'm not looking after myself, I'm not going to be any good for anybody else. I'm eventually going to become so depleted that no one's going to be able to benefit from what I can give.
Yes, it's our emotional bank account that if we just keep giving, 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 at some point it gets bankrupt. And we need to make sure we're putting deposits in there and receiving from others to deposit in there so that there's plenty in there to be able to give. It really is so important. And I also, Jackie, very much resonate. It's been a big journey for me in this. And I think it's such a common thing for so many women in midlife. It is so common in terms of how many, especially Western society, how we've been raised, and the role of women, and all of the things that we've been conditioned with. It takes something to learn how to actually own our value, and to receive really what we're worth. It's an ongoing journey for many of us.
Absolutely. Very much so.
Worthwhile journey. Worthwhile journey.
It is, but it's not you do it once and it's done. It's an ongoing thing that you keep working on. It's like a muscle that you keep exercising and exercising, and it does get easier as you do it. But if you stop practicing, then you do become a bit rusty, and you realize, oh, I need to I need to practice that a bit more, because it's so easy to slip back into, when life gets busy and things are happening, and you just lose track of that sometimes. And it's reminding yourself just to step back into it again, and it's not, oh, I've messed up, and let's just get back on and move forward again.
It's like every moment, as I've said before, we have a choice. Every moment we have the chance to just refresh, let go of everything that's just whatever's happened, and be here in the moment and choose again, and choose love, not judgment. Like, really let go of any judgment about ourselves, all the things in our head about the doubt, the beating ourselves up, all the criticism, the expectations, the not enoughness, all of that. Just let it all go, drop it.
Yeah.
Time to choose love and joy, and the next step, which is listen to your inner wisdom. That is going to be the path. We all have it, and the more we practice tuning into that, the more powerful it becomes, and more easier it becomes to really know it and follow it.
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect place to leave it, with that perfect gem of wisdom from you, Deb. It's been lovely speaking with you today. And thank you for being willing to join me from across the world. It's lovely to have a guest from as far afield as Australia.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun. It's gone so fast, Jackie. I could chat with you for days, I think. So.
I know. I have that with most of my guests as well. It's just like, yeah, we just can carry on talking. But it's been lovely chatting. Thanks, Deb.
As we wrap up another episode here at Life Begins at Midlife, we want to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsor, Jackie Bourne, for Purpose Unleashed. Jackie's commitment to empowering individuals on their journey of self-discovery and transformation truly aligns with the spirit of our show. Whether you're navigating the challenges of midlife, seeking clarity on your next steps, or simply looking to live a more fulfilled life, Purpose Unleashed offers the guidance, tools, and support you need to turn your aspirations into reality. For those of you feeling stuck or at a crossroads, remember, it's never too late to redefine your path and embrace the life you've always dreamed of. Visit Purpose Unleashed website to discover how you can start your transformative journey today. Let Jackie be your guide to a more vibrant, purpose-driven life. You can find this link to the website in the show notes below. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in and sharing your time with us. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to grow, to love, and to make a difference. Until next time, keep striving, keep dreaming, and keep listening.